Good afternoon, Councilmember McDonald. Do you want to do a quick mic check?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
I can, loud and clear. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Councilmember McDonald, how's it going?
Working on emails. How are you?
I'm good, and I see that we have Councilmember Rogers as an attendee with a hand raised.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're all here. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, and let's do a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember McDonald,
Here.
Councilmember Rogers, and Mayor Rogers.
Here.
Let the record show all subcommittee members are present.
Great. Let's go ahead and start today with our public comment for non-agenda items. If you have a comment that falls within the jurisdiction of this committee but is not on today's agenda, go ahead and hit the raise hand feature on your Zoom. Okay, seeing that, we'll move on to our department reports. Let's see if we have any department reports for today. Okay, seeing none, we'll keep moving. We'll move on to new business for item 4.1. That's our zero waste program update. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Joey Henowitz, our zero waste coordinator. I think we have Celia Ferber also, who's the zero waste manager for Recology.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Joey Henowitz. I am the Zero Waste Coordinator for the City of Santa Rosa. I'm joined today by Celia Ferber, who is the Waste Zero Manager at Recology Sonoma Marin and represents Santa Rosa. So we thought it would be good to provide a zero waste kind of program update from the lens of the city that I'm working on, and also through the collective lens that our hauler Recology provides for the residents in the community here in Santa Rosa. So I'll begin first, and then I'll pass it over to Celia to discuss Recology. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, 1 second. All right, so the guiding policy document that I follow as one of my main duties is the City of Santa Rosa Zero Waste Master Plan. The Zero Waste Master Plan was passed in 2020 by the City Council. We partnered with, let me go back. Oh, thank you. We did partner with our R3 Consulting. They are a consulting group that the city does partner with from time to time for some solid waste issues. And we had them develop a zero waste master plan with us, with the input from staff, myself, and also we did some input from the community to find out what was important for them as far as zero waste, what kind of strategies they would like the city to implement, what was easy, maybe what would be difficult. And over about a year's time frame, 9 months to a year, we were able to come up with the Zero Waste Master Plan. So just to kind of refresh for the council and for any members of the public, the Zero Waste Master Plan does have two overarching goals. Those goals are, number one, to reduce landfill disposal to less than 1 pound per person per day of franchised waste by 2030. We're currently at about 2.6 currently. And we have seen some improvement in this area since we've started the master plan, and we've partnered with Recology. When I first started here in about 2019, 2018, we were up around 3.0, about 2.8 as well. So we've seen some improvements there, but we still have a long ways to go. And also, we are hoping to achieve at least 75% diversion of our franchised waste from the landfill disposal by 2030. So we have our kind of 10-year goals, and we're hoping to achieve those by 2030. We're currently at about 45% diversion. So we do have some room for improvement there, and we are working with the community, doing our best to try to improve in that regard. Some of the main strategies that we developed for the Zero Waste Master Plan one was to develop a reusable and compostable foodware ordinance. That has actually already occurred. The city has completed that. It is called our Santa Rosa Zero Waste Foodware Ordinance, and that was passed late last year and went into effect as of January 1st. The main components of that are going to be a ban on polystyrene foam, and also a ban on foodware that's containing PFAS. Along with that, we do have a culture shift that we're asking restaurants and food providers to get used to, which is basically the upon request. And you only provide foodware accessories like forks, knives, napkins upon request from the customer. And that also does mirror a recently passed state law, AB 1276. So we're right in line with that, which is good news. We've already kind of checked the box on that strategy. The next one is a mandatory recycling and composting ordinance or program. So not only making it where we're asking folks to, we'd like you to compost, we'd like you to have a recycling bin. This is the right thing to do for waste diversion and also for sustainability reasons. We wanted to make that mandatory. So the city has actually already completed that strategy as well, and that's an implementation. We did that more recently with our city code update to SB 1383, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a later slide. But SB 1383 made composting mandatory, and we were kind of already ahead of the curve with that when we signed on with Recology with the new solid waste provider from the old Ratto group. We did make that a mandatory requirement for all single-family home and single-family dwellings, and we are currently in the process of making sure for SB 1383 to get those green bins, the composting bins in all of our multifamily dwelling units and commercial units. As you can imagine, the multifamily units can be a little bit more difficult considering some sizing constraints and space constraints, but Recology and Cillian and her team are doing a great job doing the outreach to that. And she can maybe speak to that a little bit later during her presentation. Third strategy is we are looking to do a construction and demolition ordinance update, which I'll speak to a little bit later in one of the later slides. Provide some targeted technical assistance. This was sought out to be probably one of the more expensive of the strategies that we were going to employ, but it was also supposed to be the most impactful. So when we talk about targeted technical outreach, we're talking about bringing in some sort of a consulting firm or some experts in the field, hiring them onto a contract and having them literally do boots on the ground assistance for our largest generators and also some of the single family units dwellings, just kind of going to their business, going to their door, talking to them about zero waste, talking to them about their habits, and talking to them about how they properly dispose of those materials. Really getting that kind of one-on-one feedback is really what we're targeted with that. And then lastly, we're really just looking to change the culture for zero waste here in Santa Rosa, Sonoma County. And first and foremost, we want to lead by example here in Santa Rosa. And we are continuing to do that. Some of the things that we have done is we've passed some of these zero waste master plan policies, but more importantly is we're asking the community to do things, but we're also doing them ourselves. So at this point, it must have been about 3 years ago when I realized that SB 1383 was coming down the pipeline. I did work with our facilities team and Recology, and we're able to basically get the 3-bin system in all of our city facilities. So when you come to city manager's office, when you go to planning and economic development, where if you go to transportation and public works, where I'm located, you will have all 3 bins in the common areas in the kitchen, so that our staff can properly sort their waste. Along with that, with the recently passed zero waste foodware ordinance, one of the requirements is that dine-in facilities only use reusable foodware. So you don't use a single-use disposable. If you are dining in, we do ask that you provide that on something that is durable and reusable. So, a physical plate, a fork and knife, and that would be washed and provided to a customer later on. We are currently in the process of getting that policy implemented here at the city of Santa Rosa. I have an order in, which I believe half the order was delivered earlier this week, for reusable foodware, which I'm going to distribute out to all of the facilities in Santa Rosa, so that any staff potluck, any retirement party, any staff gathering, we're no longer using those Dixie plates and cups and single-use disposables, is we are going to be providing those reusable materials to city staff. So we want to lead by example. Zero waste culture change also includes some school engagement. This is one of the areas where we still need to have some high road in. This is something that I haven't been able to really work on, but we want to be able to do some upstream investment. And we've heard from the community during some of our zero waste planning efforts when we were doing the community engagement, is a lot of suggestions to get into the schools, work with them, and to teach the kids young. Because if you can teach the kids young, they'll take these things into their adult life. And a lot of the times what they do is they can bring that stuff home with the excitement to their parents, who may or may not be interested in zero waste. But if they hear from their child that they would like to do this, a lot of times you can get those culture changes there at home. So we want to make sure to engage in schools with that, to try to get them at the kind of upstream level. We do want to have some zero waste event requirements. And so the plan is for me to develop kind of an event, zero waste event policy kind of guideline document that is also on my to-do list. But at a minimum level, we have shared with some of our event folks here at the city that, permit events, that they, all of the event vendors and folks and food vendors that come to the events for city permitted events do need to follow our our zero waste foodware ordinance as well. So we kind of have made some inroads there on that. And then lastly, support for reuse, repair, and sharing. Obviously, we want to hope that if something can be reused or repurposed, we want to be able to do that rather than just simply using it and throwing it away. All right. So as I kind of mentioned about the zero waste food ordinance on the previous slide, the zero waste food ordinance was passed in December of 2021, became effective January 1st of this year. It does ban the foodware containing polystyrene foam and PFAS. We do require the foodware accessories to be provided upon request only. The dine-in accommodations are to have the reusable foodware and accessories only. One thing that I forgot to mention, it is along the lines of SB 1383, as well as the dine-in facilities. If you are providing an area for where the patrons are to be disposing of their own food waste or other waste, that you do provide the 3 bin waste streams, so that they can make sure that it goes into the proper stream there, and that the city of Santa Rosa staff facilities and sponsored events are required to follow the terms of that ordinance. So that is the zero waste food ordinance, which was effective as of the beginning of this year. All right, so a little bit of a brief update on some of the other strategy plans and updates. I kind of already mentioned this, but the mandatory recycling and composting ordinance that was already passed through the ordinance you see there, which was adopting the SB 1383 provisions and requirements. So we do currently have a mandatory recycling and composting ordinance in Santa Rosa. Construction and demolition ordinance update. This is something that we still have on the to-do list, but I currently do have a professional services agreement with R3 Consulting, and there's a couple items that they're going to be helping me with. One of the items is going to be for review and recommendations on how we might improve our construction and demolition ordinance, not only the language that's in there, but potentially the program itself and how we operate it here at Santa Rosa. It does tend to cross a couple different departments. Myself, I do am the administrator of the C&D ordinance itself. I approve all of the applicants for the C&D ordinance. I manage kind of the administration for that. But then there's also folks that are involved with it at the building counter and at engineering services as far as when they have to get their building permits and go through our planning and economic development department. So we're looking to maybe create some synergies and or recommendations that can kind of streamline some of those operations and help us really make sure that we get the feedback back from the our C&D operators that they are achieving the 65% Cal Green requirement for diversion when it comes to C&D operations in California. Next is the targeted technical assistance. This is on the to-do list, and we're looking to hopefully develop an RFP for services there for assistance on that end, probably in late 2023 or early 2024. So that still needs to be developed and delivered. And then the zero waste culture change is an ongoing thing. This isn't something that's going to probably have a finished target date. This is going to be something that we're always improving on and incrementally improving. But we do have plans for additional expansion and engagement as that is concerned. Specifically, as I mentioned earlier, working to try to create some partnerships and some teamwork with the city schools here in Santa Rosa. Okay, so one of the guiding policy documents that we do have for the city of Santa Rosa is our climate action plan. So one of the questions that comes up is, well, so what's the relationship with our climate action plan to the zero waste program here at Santa Rosa and the zero waste master plan? One of the main strategies of the of the climate action plan is waste reduction, recycling, and composting. It is one of the GHG greenhouse gas reduction strategies. Within the climate action plan itself, the strategies include increasing the waste accepted for curbside recycling, working with partners to encourage restaurants to compost, which we have currently and are doing right now with SB 1383. That's really the main focus of SB 1383 is to get not only businesses and restaurants, but to get your single family homes and pretty much all customer segments to make sure that they put their yard waste, which I think we're doing a really good job of here in Santa Rosa, and we have for some years, but it's really focusing on getting that food waste. So your extra food scraps, if you do whatever you don't finish for dinner, if you end up throwing it away, putting that into your green bin instead of the garbage there. Increased diversion of construction waste. As I just mentioned, we are looking to expand that through the zero waste master plan, and we do have consultant on that. We're going to be looking into that. So we are hoping to increase the diversion of construction waste and looking at ways to do that. Discourage the use of styrofoam and plastic bags. There was a plastic bag ordinance that was passed a few years back through Sonoma County that also Santa Rosa adopted. And as I just mentioned, we do have that zero waste foodware ordinance that does prohibit the sale and use of polystyrene styrofoam in Santa Rosa. Reduce the amounts of packaging used. This one is a little bit more tricky because a lot of the packaging we can't control because it does come from outside of our jurisdiction. Obviously, we don't have jurisdiction over that. But some of the things that myself and some of my counterparts in zero waste in the county are doing is really looking into supporting any sort of state bills or referendums that would focus on plastic reduction and packaging, or any sort of extended producer responsibility laws, which is basically asking that, extended producer responsibility means that if you are going to be the industry or the business that's producing these items, that you also have some sort of skin in the game, hopefully in the form of monetary, and you basically are contributing money to municipalities in the state to be able to dispose of these materials. Because as we know, we've got the Amazons of the world, we've got everyone else of the world that's a lot of people are ordering online nowadays, sending stuff to their house directly. But with that becomes a lot of extra packaging that isn't not really necessary. You use it one time, it gets packaged, you pull out whatever you need, and then that generally goes either to the garbage, or if we're lucky, it can be recycled. So we're going to continue to focus kind of on a legislative level to make sure that we support any sort of extended producer responsibility or packaging reduction laws that might be coming about. Also within the climate action plan was a goal to divert 75% of waste by 2020. This one obviously is not going to be achievable because we're at about 45% right now. But we just need to give that about another 10 years. And our goal to divert 75% of waste through the zero waste master plan is by 2030. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an update on some of the strategies and things that we've been working on through the Zero Waste Master Plan, through the Zero Waste Program here at Santa Rosa that aligns with the Climate Action Plan here for the city of Santa Rosa. Then I just wanted to briefly mention SB 1383. I think most of you have heard quite a bit about this from me for the past couple of meetings, but this is really focused on diverting organic waste from the landfill. What ends up happening is every night they cover that landfill, and the materials that are in there, they don't have any oxygen to breathe. So what ends up happening is anaerobically digests, and what that does is that it emits methane, which is significantly more potent than carbon dioxide. And so with that, we're trying to make sure that we get those organic waste materials out of the landfill to a composting operation where they can be reused, repurposed for soil amendments, which actually helps with carbon sequestration. So it's actually really, really important that we continue that work with SB 1383. It's a very aggressive law, state law. It's probably one of the most aggressive solid waste laws in the United States, if not California, in over 30 years or if ever. But it is aimed at reducing those GHG emissions and methane emissions within the state of California. So it is a very, very important law that we're currently in the process of implementing. It did go into effect on January 1st of 2022, and we're continuing to work on implementing that through our partners, which is the City of Santa Rosa, Recology, and Zero Waste Sonoma. And then before I kind of just pass this off to my counterpart, Celia, over at Recology, I just wanted to briefly mention that we do have an agreement with Recology to provide solid waste collection services. This was an agreement that was signed in late December of 2017, but really went into effect as of January 1st of 2018. It is a 15-year agreement that we have with Recology, and we are happy to be with Recology. When we went out to bid for services, when the Ratto Group contract was expiring, we had a couple of community meetings, 2 of them to be exact, and we wanted to receive public input and feedback regarding, what kind of services that the city community was looking for. The public did express a desire for improved recycling and diversion rates, a commitment to sustainability as a culture, the need for education and outreach from the new provider, and improve customer service, and choosing a hauler that is, a quality services provider rather than just the least expensive provider. So we went through that process, and obviously Recology was selected for many of their high achieving marks in those areas. A couple of the highlights of the solid waste collection services agreement is it does have diversion goals. We do have diversion goals that we do place on Recology. Notably diverting minimum of 50% of solid waste by 2023, 55% by 2024, and then 60% by 2029. So the city does have some action that they can take if Recology doesn't meet those goals, but there is also a show of good faith that Recology can provide as long as they are doing their public education and outreach. They're source separating the materials as required by the agreement, and they're working with the city on creative solutions to improve those diversion goals. We want to work in kind of a partnership with them, and so those goals are there. But we understand that it's not only just Recology that's responsible for that diversion; it's a community-wide effort. One of the important things as well was the outreach and education, which is why within the agreement, we made sure that there was a dedicated Waste Zero team, and Celia at Recology does lead that team. And so within the agreement, we have a Waste Zero manager, a public education and outreach manager, and then also 4 Waste Zero specialists. And they are actually there to provide those outreach and education services. They provide things like technical assistance. They do educational events. They do site visits, waste audits on site with businesses, with customers, with single family homes if they need it as well. They do community presentations and tabling, letters and flyers, et cetera. And Celia will go into more detail exactly what those services are. But we've been really excited about that from the beginning, and we've seen Recology's passion and interest in making sure that the residents of Santa Rosa are engaged with zero waste, and they're going to continue to provide those services for us. And then lastly, we do have an SB 1383 partnership with them. I was at City Council not too long ago with this, but SB 1383 does have a bevy of requirements that that jurisdictions are ultimately responsible. So we recently did do a fourth amendment to our solid waste collection services agreement to memorialize some of the things that Recology will be taking on behalf for the city of Santa Rosa, which is mainly going to be the contamination monitoring and site reviews and site audits that are required through SB 1383. As well as continue to help us with the education and the outreach, which they have been doing since day one. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions or comments if you have them.
Great, thank you so much, Joey. My first question is really just, what are the barriers that you've seen that have resulted in, I'm not going to poo-poo a 45% reduction, that's still great. But it is below our targets. What barriers are in the way, and is there more that we can do to try to help meet that goal?
Yeah, I think the barriers that are in the way is it's hard to change people's habits that they've been so used to for so long. I think SB 1383 is a game changer. I think we need to continue to provide education and outreach. One of the main things is, about 40% of what goes to the landfill is considered organic waste. And I think one of the largest issues that we've seen, and Silly might be able to talk more to this as well, is it is a little bit difficult to separate those green materials in the green bin if they're not contained within the garbage bag, because a lot of people are concerned of it creating fly issues, of it creating, animal issues, of it creating vector issues. And so I think it's generally easier for people just to put it in the garbage rather than, they might have to clean out that green bin once every week or 2 or 3 weeks. And so it does require a little bit of additional effort. And so that has been one of the complaints that I have received from some folks as well. I'm not going to compost because I don't want to have flies all around my house, or I don't want to have rats running around. And so I think we need to continue to work with the community to ensure them that there are ways where we can avoid some of those things. And that probably would be the main issue and main hurdle that I've seen. Secondly, I think is really going to be important is that targeted technical outreach. I think, we do outreach online, we do outreach through newsletters, we table events, but we're still not really able to reach a lot of the community. I think for the folks that are really interested in doing the right thing, they're going to do the right thing. For those folks that may need a little extra nudge, I think those kind of one-on-one conversations and kind of the one-on-one feedback is going to be something that would be important, that would help kind of move that marker.
Yeah, so if I understand correctly, you mean that when folks have bins in their house, that they have their compost sorted, but they haven't moved it out into maybe their final bin that they're putting it into. That seems to be the biggest complaint people have.
Yeah, or when they put it out to the outside bin, that it's going to attract, flies or, rats or other vermin once they put it out there. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Council, any other questions? Natalie?
Yes, so question. First, just to show everyone my handy dandy compost bin, but the bag helps me with the no rat thing, the compost free bag. I guess the bag is compostable, or something. I don't know. I bought it so the bag doesn't. It's not a plastic bag. It's like a bag that you put the stuff in, and then I can put it in my compost bin. Does that not really work? Because you're looking. I see.
Do you want to speak to that, Celia? You're looking, yeah.
I look like I'm about to burst.
I know, because that's what it said online. Because I don't like rats either.
No one does. And that is a really big point of confusion for people. It's very confusing with the compostable plastics, because they say they're compostable and people want to believe that. So we haul Santa Rosa's compostable material to 3 different compost facilities. We don't own or operate any of the 3, and none of them are able to take the compostable plastics. So they just don't break down in a timely manner, and they have additives in them that they're not good and nutritious for the soil. They're trying to create a quality product at the compost facilities. And so for those two reasons, they can't accept the compostable plastics. So
So you
therefore
just
we
empty
can't.
them? You just empty them in the green bin. Once you take them
Sure.
out the house, you just empty them in the green bin.
Yeah, if you wanted to empty the contents of them in the green bin and then just take the actual bag itself and put it in the garbage, that would be fine. Or you could
Oh,
use
but then you
a
still have
paper bag.
plastic.
What was that?
But you still have plastic, so it kind of defeats the purpose of using it.
Yeah. I mean, the best recommendation would be lining the pail with a paper bag or a newspaper, because that's totally compostable. You can just put that all in the compost bin.
I love it. See, Mayor Rogers, these are the conversations that we candidly need to have because people need to know, like, how do you get over these hurdles of making it easy? So you just line it with the paper bag that we pay 10 cents for. It works. So I'm going to start doing that because that is very important. One, I don't have to buy those bags, and two, they don't work. How bad is it to continue to use plasticware that just happens to appear? Because I don't want to throw it away because I feel bad. How bad is it to continue to use it? Reuse it, like to wash it and reuse it.
Joey, do you want me to answer that one? Or okay, it's not, I mean, it's reuse is great. If you want to reuse the plastic, to go where utensils that you already have, sure, just reuse them. It's all about baby steps. It's about keeping in mind, next time you get takeout food, just remembering to tell them, oh wait, I'm going home, I actually don't need these plastic utensils. And then when you do dispose of them, it's remembering to dispose of them properly. They're not compostable or recyclable, unfortunately. So they would just need to go in the garbage.
And then last question, I must agree with the education part. And I was looking on your presentation, which is coming next. Is there a place you can go? And I saw the Ask a Waste Zero expert, but like a on-demand, me and my family often have debates. Like, no, you can recycle this. No, you can't recycle this. Or you can just like put an item in there and it tells you where to put it or if it's recyclable for people that are learning the process.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, there's a search tool on our website. So it's recology.com/RSM what bin. And I can put it in the chat. If I don't think I had access to the chat maybe. But it's RSM, like Recology Sonoma Marin, what bin, and it's just a really handy search tool.
Thank you. That concludes my questions.
Diana?
Yeah, so that kind of brings me to one of the things. Have you seen those apps where they'll take a picture of a plant and it'll tell you how much water to put in the plant or something like that? So along those lines of what I have found with people is if it's not simple and easy and quick, they're not going to do it. Not many people are going to go to the website and Google to see if something's done. But what they might do is add on an app like the Santa Rosa app, a way for us to actually like take a picture of the item and it to identify. And that would be something perhaps at the state level they could do with this initiative of SB 1383. So it might be something to think about as we look at partnerships and looking to see the easier it is for people to know where to put things. To me, that's how you get to the level that you want. And I know you also mentioned working with schools and school districts on how this kind of works. And that's been something I think we need to do more of, right? If you tell kids how it all works or how it works, to me, they actually have coached me. My kids have coached me more on how to recycle properly than anyone else. And they're adults, but they learned it in actually school. So I think if we can go out, at least for the city of Santa Rosa, and work with the 11 school districts that we have on presentations on what's recyclable and how this works at home, kids can put a lot of pressure on their families, but also how the schools can recycle things. And I know we have businesses that have been doing this, but I'm not sure where we're at on school initiatives and how that works. And if that might be an area we could grow. But I still think an app on where to put this utensil would be probably the simplest way for people to start to learn about how things work and where to put it. But it just goes back to exactly Natalie's point of, like, I would have totally thought the bag could go right into the composting and it says compostable. That makes no sense to me. And I didn't even know plastic silverware couldn't go into recycle. So that's horrifying because I totally thought I was doing my part. So, and I wasn't, I was ruining it. So, admittedly, I think it happens by a lot of us, but I just seem to do it in public forums and admit when I'm wrong. So, but that would be something I think is just shocking. I'm embarrassed, well, not really embarrassed, but I'm happy to report that I've learned something really new today. So thanks for that.
Of course. And I would just mention, I think that's a great idea as far as, having you take a picture and then it tells you maybe where this goes in the bin. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think that with the onset of SB 1383, there's a lot of interest from the tech community. I had a conversation with a company, I forget the name of the company, they're just starting out, but they're essentially this kind of community engagement, wayfinding company that wants to engage with municipalities. And what you do is they put up basically these QR codes, and you can put them up on a lamp post, you can put them up on a wall, you can put them up on a garbage bin, and basically you can go up there, you can scan the QR code, and then whatever the city would like to do, whether it's community engagement about the downtown station area plan, or whether it's community engagement as far as whatever, you can kind of guide the conversations that way, and you end up having this kind of conversation with an AI thing that's been scheduled. And I did ask them that question. I said, well, I'm working on SB 1383. I think this has some potential, opportunities for the city in general, but where do you think that we can make this work with SB 1383? I was thinking the only way that I really think this could work is if they could actually take a picture of whatever they were going to be throwing away, and it would tell them where that goes. And the gentleman that I spoke with said, wow, technology is not quite there yet for that, but that is actually very interesting. And it is something that he was going to bring up to his upper management to maybe potentially consider, especially considering that California is leading the way with this. And obviously with the huge business, potential that California has. And so I think you're right there with that. I think we'll look to that in the future, but at the moment that we don't currently have that capability, but I think that's a great idea.
Chris, I think you need to write a letter to the governor telling him that he should invest in that. It's part of the climate action plan that they're going to do.
Yeah, we write plenty of letters to the governor. I'll add it on the list.
Thanks.
Did you all want me to go ahead and share my presentation?
Yep, please do.
Okay. And you all bring up really great points, and I'm hoping I can address some of them additionally in my presentation as well. So let me go ahead and share. Can you see that okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. Oops, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay. Okay, so thank you, Joey. Thanks for the really thorough presentation. I'm going to try not to be too redundant and focus a little bit more energy on some of the points that you all brought up just now. So again, my name is Celia Ferber. I'm the Waste Zero Manager at Recology Sonoma Marin. I've been with Recology for over 9 years now. And I had the opportunity to come up to Sonoma County and be the Waste Zero Manager up here in 2017 when we were brand new to the area. So it's really been a privilege, and I've seen the programs grow and evolve and progress over the past 4.5 years, and that's been really rewarding. So I'm going to highlight some of the things that we've been able to accomplish in those 4.5 years, go into a little bit more depth about what we're doing in the community, including with schools and some of the tactics that we use to educate the community. Councilmember McDonald, don't feel bad about not knowing about the utensils. Councilmember Rogers, don't feel bad about not knowing about the compostable bags. These are common points of confusion, and it's good feedback for me to hear. It only helps us enhance our programs. We do strive to help alleviate some of that confusion through our, I'll go into exactly all the tools that we use to do that. And we're basically in the middle of a cultural shift, and things are getting incrementally better every single year. I have data to support that, but it's not perfect yet. We still have a ways to go, as Joey mentioned. So with that, I'll go ahead and dive in. Oh, and I should also mention the timing of this meeting is perfect. We're actually doing a Recology Village at the Santa Rosa Farmers Market this evening. So if you happen to be near downtown or planning to go to the farmers market, we're hosting a Recology table there, and there's actually several organizations that are devoted to zero waste or reuse that will be at the farmers market tonight. So this is very timely. All right, so just quickly a little bit about Recology Sonoma Marin. We've been serving Santa Rosa since December 23rd of 2017. It was a really great Christmas gift to start servicing the city right before Christmas in 2017. We provide recycle, compost, garbage, construction demolition, street sweeping, and recycle processing services for the city. We're a 100% employee-owned company, meaning that we don't answer to outside stakeholders. All of the employees of the company own a piece of the company. And so that really helps us to focus on what matters and be really involved in the communities that we serve. And we're also part of Teamsters Union 665. So Waste Zero, it's part of our logo, it's part of our mission, it's something that we truly believe in. And so, again, I'm the Waste Zero manager, I oversee the department, and our biggest objective is to recover resources and to educate. So you can see here in this before and after picture, this is actually King's Nursery in Santa Rosa. This was, there before they had a garbage dumpster bin, pretty large, and just a small compost cart and a small recycle. These aren't exactly small carts, but they're a commercial account, and they just had a cart for compost and a cart for recycle. We were able to work with them, get them a big compost bin for their landscaping material. They're in a nursery, so they have a lot of plant material. They also had a lot of cardboard, so we were able to increase their recycle size to a dumpster bin. And then once they were able to recover those resources, we were able to decrease their garbage service to just a cart. And this is just an example of what we like to do with every single account, whether it be commercial or single family residential. We want to work with people to recover resources and then decrease their garbage. And so here's some data to support the progress that we've made with that effort. In 2018, we had 94,000 tons landfilled from the city of Santa Rosa. And in 2021, we had 86,000 tons landfilled for the city of Santa Rosa. So if you compare those 2 calendar years on top of each other, that's a decrease of 8,000 tons, which is a pretty hefty number. 8,000 tons less went to the landfill in 2021 than 2018. And that's considering population growth in Santa Rosa over that time period as well. So that feels really rewarding that we're seeing the landfill numbers going down year over year. And then likewise, we also want to see recovered tons go up. And so in 2018, we were able to recover 69,000 tons of material. And in 2021, we were able to increase that to 76,000 tons. And so by recovering, that means recycling and composting. So 7,000 tons more in 2021 were recovered than in 2018. So really good metrics to support that what we're doing out in the community is working, and we'll continue to see progress over time. So public education, schools was brought up significantly in our conversation prior to this, and could not agree more. Once you get the kids caring about these issues and excited about them, they do bring that excitement home with them. And that really helps with that cultural shift that we're talking about. So in 2021, we did 89 presentations to audiences. Those were primarily at schools, whether it be single classroom presentations or assemblies. We do work with all the school districts in the city of Santa Rosa. We have Waste Zero specialist Anita Migliori up in this picture here. She's speaking to a high school class. And I'm gonna go down here to this last bullet point. a lot of these teachers are really great, and they'll send thank you cards. And so one of the teachers sent a thank you card where all the students wrote a note to Anita thanking her for her presentation. And one of the students said, "I'm gonna use your methods in my house," which was just kind of, it was just really rewarding. It was like, this is a kid who maybe wasn't thinking about this at all prior to the presentation. And she really reached that student, and he's gonna take that information home with him, and maybe his household's gonna make a change. So that's exactly what we want to see through these presentations at schools. A lot of presentations are also through partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. There's 2 different Rotary clubs in Santa Rosa that we partner with, the Sierra Club, and then we also work really closely with Zero Waste Sonoma. So anytime there's a group gathering that gathers on a regular basis, sometimes they'll ask us to come in and be a speaker. We're more than happy to do that. And I have down here, these are 2 flyers that we did. I wanted to note that during the height of the pandemic, when everything was pretty much remote, we did pivot to do remote presentations so that we could still get the word out about what goes where and why zero waste is important. So we did several series of remote Zoom presentations, and we did them in English and in Spanish. I'm skipping around with my bullet points, but I wanted to go back to the top one and highlight that we not only did the 89 presentations to audiences, we did 117 staff trainings as well in 2021. And so what that looks like is working with a restaurant back of house staff or hotel staff. Maybe it's basically staff trainings at various businesses so that they're all trained on their compost and recycle programs and how to use them properly. We also host educational tables at community events. In the top left here, this was the Earth Day of this year in downtown Santa Rosa, and I was actually at that event, and so there was 3 of us there, and we were talking the entire time. Our table was so busy. People have a lot of questions, and it's really important to us that we're at these tables and they're able to answer those questions. We love being able to host those tables. We're really glad that these outdoor events are happening again. And we also provide receptacles at a lot of community events. So tonight, if you happen to go to the farmers market, you'll see our color-coded receptacles with signage. And this is really great because not everyone's going to be motivated to necessarily come to our table and talk to us, but they might just learn a little bit about compost and recycle just by looking at our carts at a community event. It might just register with them, oh yeah, I'm seeing this compost everywhere now. Okay, that's what can go in there. Okay, yeah, maybe I should do that. It's just another tactic to reach people. Okay, so how do we get the word out? How do we alleviate some of this confusion about what goes where? We use a variety of tactics. So I think our number 1 tool is our spring and fall newsletters. They're 4 pages. We mail them to every single account that we serve in the city of Santa Rosa. And we do tend to touch on the most confusing things that we hear time and time again, like the compostable bags and the plastic utensils. Fully recognizing that people are really busy. People are getting our newsletters in their mail. Some are taking the time to open them and read them. And a lot of households maybe don't have the time to read them all the way. Maybe they hold on to them. Maybe they take a piece of them, but they don't take all of the information. So it's just important that we're hitting on those topics over and over in those newsletters and, having some breakthroughs over time that way. We also put ads in the Press Democrat quarterly. We do full page Press Democrat ads, and we do ads in the Santa Rosa Chamber of Commerce. They do their own newsletter, so we make sure to get ads in there too. We did a radio ad earlier this year. We worked with Wine Country Radio, and so we were letting everyone know SB 1383 is here. Please put your food scraps in your green cart. It's the law. And that's just another way to potentially reach people. We have these ads on our trucks that says food waste and soiled paper belong in the compost. And so those are in those are ads on, they're on a good chunk of our trucks in the city of Santa Rosa. So if people happen to be seeing our truck on the road or servicing their house, then, you know, that's kind of it's a roving billboard educating them. We also provide posters to commercial customers, recycle, compost, and garbage posters that are really clear, really visually appealing. We have custom labels for recycle, compost, and garbage, both horizontal and vertical and all different sizes that we provide to anyone who needs them. We provide compost kitchen pails. You can see one here. Those are available for pickup at our office. I'm happy to report they've been so popular this year. We've gone through several thousand this year alone. We ran out, I believe, back in April, and then we got more in, and we're actually about to run out again. So this is people who are seeing that they need to start composting, and they're taking the time to come to our office and pick up a pail so that they can start composting at home. It's really great to see. It's really great to see that popularity. So we're actually partnering with Zero Waste Sonoma and the various jurisdictions in Sonoma County on a larger compost kitchen pail order. And so those will be coming in September. So we'll be restocked and ready to hand those out again. We use our website as a tool to provide information. And again, that search tool is on the website. Councilmember McDonald, totally agree. That would be really great to have a kind of like a artificial intelligence app where you just sort of scan, you just take a picture of an object and it registers, oh, this is recyclable, or oh, this is compostable. I do think that, I don't think that exists currently, but I'm right, like it should exist, and I think it will exist. So I wrote it down. I think it's a really cool idea.
Maybe if you develop it, we'll have a whole new funding stream for the city.
I'll look into what resources we have. I'll admit I'm not a tech person, but I do think it's doable, and I think it's a really great idea. So we also use Facebook to get the word out on things as well. Alrighty, so Joey went into this a bit in his presentation. I'll just touch on it briefly. This is kind of the cycle of compost. You eat your banana, you have a banana peel, you put your banana peel in your green cart, we service your green cart, and then we haul it to one of the 3 compost facilities that we partner with. They put that material in long rows called windrows. The various compost facilities, they each have their own slightly different methods, but basically they give the material 60 to 90 days to break down. They turn it over, they make sure it's very oxygenated. And then at the end of that process, they screen it. And so they're running it through a 1/4-inch screen to take out any contaminants or any items that didn't break down in that time frame. And we're left with a beautiful compost product that is referred to as black gold. It doesn't smell. Farmers can't get enough of it. These compost facilities are selling out. And the farmers are buying that compost and they're applying it to their fields. And it's not only helping them to grow better crops and to enhance their yield, it's also sequestering carbon dioxide from the atmosphere into the soil. And it's also acting like a sponge in the soil to make the plants require less water. So it's a drought, it's a water conservation methodology as well. So you have that win, that awesome effect of sequestering carbon, it's helping with water conservation, and because it was kept out of the landfill, it's preventing that the methane production at the landfill. So it's really one of the best things we as a society can do to combat climate change. All right, so a little bit about the commercial compost program in Santa Rosa. Currently, we have 1,172 commercial accounts with compost service in the city, which is a pretty large number. We're really proud of that number because when we first came in back in 2018, that number was quite a bit lower. So we've really been heavy boots on the ground getting those programs implemented. We were recently able to achieve 100% compliance with state law AB 1826. 1826 is basically the precursor to SB 1383. It required that most commercial accounts have a compost program, not all, but most. And so whereas SB 1383 requires all. And so that basically has set us up for success with SB 1383, which is what that's currently the big focus. That went into effect, as Joey mentioned, January 1st of this year. And it requires a 75% reduction in landfilled organics by the year 2025. And so the state's looking for that 75% reduction from 2014 levels. They did a statewide characterization in 2014. The pictures that you see here, I love to see this enthusiasm. This is a catering company. They have a green team. They were really excited to get a compost program. And you can just see their energy and enthusiasm about it. So it's nice to see that ripple effect in the community. So we did just recently enter into an SB 1383 franchise amendment with the city of Santa Rosa. Joey presented to the council about that. I think about around a month ago, maybe a little bit longer. And it's basically very similar to what we have been doing for the city, but there's just a couple additions, like route auditing. SB 1383 requires that every single route in the city is audited at least once per year. So we're making sure to handle those and then track that and report on it. And that's basically the state's mandating that because they want to, it's a mechanism for them to get reporting on the success of these programs. We're educating customers on SB 1383, and we have color coordinated containers and signage, and we're implementing the compost programs to all the commercial customers, all the multifamily dwellings, and also working with residents so that they start using their green cart for food waste. And we're tracking all of this and reporting on it. Some challenges. So like Joey mentioned, there's still a stigma with compost. I've seen it get better every single year, but you still do hear people say, oh, that's gross. I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna make my house smell. That's gonna make my cart smell. I'm gonna get pests. You still do hear things like that, but more and more people are doing it and they see, no, actually, I don't have any pests. I don't have any odors. This is actually pretty easy. And I've seen this evolution on Nextdoor, on various Facebook threads, where someone might complain, and then now others will say, well, actually, if you try this, if you put it in a paper bag, you know, that's a good way to contain it. Or, oh, you could put it in your freezer until collection day if you wanted to try that. Or you could put baking soda in your cart if you're having any kind of odor issues. I see community members troubleshooting with each other and providing advice. And it's cool to see that shift of more people are doing it successfully and they're able to encourage others. And so then here pictured are just some of the other challenges that we see. This is, these are what the waste zero specialists are dealing with as they've implemented more programs over time in the community. Is commercial customers don't always use the bin properly. They, then they have turnover of employees also, so they need to be retrained from time to time. You can see on the left here, this cart is actually a compost cart, and this customer is confused. They're using green bags, which are not accepted in a compost cart, and they probably thought the green bags were compostable, but these are just regular plastic bags, and they're stacking them way past the cart. So now it's onto the recycle bin, which this makes it so the driver can't really service either one. So just kind of a silly picture. And then the top over here, we have filters in the compost bin, which obviously are not compostable. This is just someone who maybe took the garbage out at night and wasn't paying attention. And so they just threw it in the compost bin. So that's contamination that we're dealing with. We see in the middle bottom here, this is a customer, this is their, they have a compost bin. They understand that they should be putting their bread that has gone bad in the compost bin, which is great, but they're not recognizing that they need to take it out of the plastic first. So that's just a point of educating them again, thank you for putting your bread in your compost bin, but we need to get it out of the plastic. And then over here in the bottom right, the compostable bags issue. This is just a really common confusing one for people. So we do see that all the time, the compostable bags going in the green cart, which they're not accepted. I do want to mention that, not to confuse you all any further, but I do want to mention that of the 3 compost facilities that we haul material to, one of the facilities is in Richmond, and the big green dumpster bins, the commercial compost dumpster bins, the material from those are hauled to the facility in Richmond. They can actually break open compostable bags and then compost the contents. So they will take the compostable bags. They won't take compostable utensils or cups or plates, but they will take they will accept the bags in those dumpster bins. So we do allow, like if a restaurant has a compost dumpster bin, they can put their materials in a compostable bag because it's going to that facility in Richmond. The compost carts that residents have, those are hauled to, there's a facility in Novato and there's another facility in Ukiah, and they don't have the capabilities to handle the compostable bags. So that's where we're at with that. Okay, I'm going to end on a high note. These are successes. So when the waste service specialists go to accounts and they flip the lid and they see these, they think this is beautiful. I think this is beautiful. This is exactly what we want to see. We want to see that these are food scraps mixed with soiled paper. Pizza boxes are great in there. Napkins are great. The paper egg cartons, gorgeous. These customers are doing a fantastic job. And we are seeing more and more that look like this, which is exactly what we want. All right. With that, I will open it up for questions.
Great, thank you so much. I don't have any questions, but I'll look to Natalie and Diana to see. I don't see any movement. So let's go to public comment and see if anybody in the public has any questions or comments. Go ahead and hit the raise hand feature on your Zoom. Yep, I don't see any comments. We'll bring it back. And I just want to give a sincere thank you to the 2 of you. I know that there's a lot of moving parts, particularly with legislation in Sacramento over the last couple of years. So thank you for the partnership. And I think what I heard from Joey, and I agree with it, is that largely this is just making sure that people are educated to understand how to do what we're asking them to do, which does take time, and it does take a lot of effort to change people's behaviors. But I think that we have the tools that are in place to start to do that. And I think we have a good partnership to be able to do that. So I want to thank you both for continuing to fight the good fight on this front.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right, we'll move on to item 4.2.
Good afternoon, Mayor Rogers and members of the subcommittee. Happy to offer an informational presentation on the Cool Cities Challenge and the Cool Block program. Give me a moment, I will bring up the presentation. Looks like you're seeing my screen now. And I think I need to swap real quick, right? Okay. Looking good now?
Yeah, we can see both the big slide and the next slide.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, I had it backwards. I apologize. Thank you. So yeah, I just want to provide this informational update due to some interest from the public as well as this subcommittee, providing you with an update on the Cool Cities Challenge. The Cool Cities Challenge is being termed a climate moonshot strategy. It is a grant program opportunity from the Empowerment Institute, a private grant program opportunity. And really, this moonshot strategy is to attempt to accelerate the rate at which cities pursue carbon neutrality, specifically trying to focus on reaching that goal by 2030. Within the Cool Cities Challenge, there's a primary strategy related to the existing Cool Block program. And the Cool Block program is really pursuing a bottom-up change driven by the citizen consumer, and really trying to implement change one block at a time throughout cities. So the Cool Cities Challenge grant program, the first round of grant awards were issued in 2021. 3 pilot cities in California were awarded $1 million. Those were the cities of Petaluma, Irvine, and Los Angeles. Prior to this, in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Palo Alto, there were already 45 blocks that were participating in the Cool Block program. And really, through this grant program, the goal is to institute a framework in these cities for meeting carbon neutrality by 2030 without offsets. And I will talk a little bit more about what the grant program itself involves. So I was able to meet with Councilmember from Petaluma, Delinda Fisher, and Natasha Giuliano, who is a resident of Petaluma, last month, and wanted to learn a little bit more about their program. And really, the program is going to be split into 2 different parts. It's really 2 phases. The first $500,000 will mostly be spent on organizing and really establishing those Cool Block leaders. Already, they have over 300 volunteers, so they've been able to penetrate pretty quickly, gather a lot of volunteers throughout Petaluma. And as of now, they are focusing on integrating businesses and other community leaders to be a part of this. And what's unique about this program is that the grant itself was spearheaded by the council member and citizens themselves. And the citizens themselves there's a group of folks that are acting as a contractor for this program and will be pursuing the grant's efforts. And then, as I mentioned, there's 2 phases. So the second phase in 2 years will be a moonshot project. And as of now, that project is yet to be determined. That will be developed with the Institute itself and the project leads. So that is the second phase after they move through the Cool Block program implementation phase. So the Cool Block program has been around for a while, but as I mentioned in some of these pilot projects, this is a foundational piece that implements the Cool City Challenge. It really begins with these Cool Block volunteers that volunteer to be block leaders. I kind of compare it to a neighborhood watch of sorts, but it's very focused on climate change actions at a local level. And block leaders themselves request the creation of a Cool Block. And so what they're required to do as a block leader is schedule an informational meeting with neighbors on the block, and then schedule a team building meeting, get those residents kind of together, fired up, and to work together on this project. And within this, they meet regularly and use an established curriculum covering 8 topics. Residents are, take actions initially in their home and leads and actions that eventually roll up and impact their entire block. So some of the topics, as I mentioned, there's 8 topics in total, are focused on energy and disaster resiliency, and focus really on the pieces of what they're calling the cool lifestyle, making changes in your daily practices, focused on making actions that are focused on climate resiliency, efficiency in terms of energy and water efficiency in your home, and thinking about how you use transportation daily. So ways that you can offset your carbon footprint through the transportation that you choose, as well as water stewardship, very important today in this drought, safe, healthy, and green blocks, and then thinking about community resources, creating a larger, greater community that is involved in focusing on climate change actions, and then ultimately living as a cool block and focusing, working together and coordinating at a larger level. So in terms of the next steps, you heard about the 3 programs that were selected in 3 cities throughout California. They launched their programs in January of this year. They're just getting this off the ground, full speed ahead. In January 2023, the pilot results will be evaluated, and really the details for the next Cool City Challenge will be released, potentially expanding this opportunity to other areas outside of California too, is what's being contemplated. Future applicants must, of course, have a minimum population of 50,000, and the city council itself, or maybe a town council, must pass a resolution to become carbon neutral by 2030. In terms of strategies that Santa Rosa itself already has in place, I did want to identify that we do have the community-wide climate action plan, which was adopted in June of 2012. And really that community-wide climate action plan, CCAP, guides greenhouse gas reduction policies and activities at a community level. This includes, greenhouse gas reduction inventories, identifying where those can be reduced, and climate adaptation strategies as well. The plan really focused on regulatory and incentive-based programs for new and existing development to achieve certain goals and strategies. And these were assigned to different city departments and supporting agency partners. You just heard from Mr. Hanowitz and Recology. So they're very much focused on implementing pieces of this climate action plan. And I just want to highlight that an update to the CCAP is currently being encompassed within the Santa Rosa Forward General Plan update. So that is getting rolled up into that update as well. So you'll be seeing more of this going forward. So in terms of future planning for the city, with this program, the Cool Cities pilots may lead to a better understanding of this bottom-up approach of utilizing citizens, working independently to help globally meet these strategies for the city, and this approach to ultimately achieving greenhouse gas reductions. In Santa Rosa, we'll look to the evaluation of these pilot programs to determine the best way to incorporate this, or potentially even similar programs in the update to the CCAP. So, these strategies are out there, they are novel, and we can look at these as an opportunity as well. So with that, I've left a couple links up here for you to peruse if you so choose, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you so much, Peter. And I'm really glad that we were able to bring this forward for discussion, just because I've heard of from folks down in Petaluma who have found really good success in it and think that there's a lot of value. Let's see if there's any questions from my fellow council members. Natalie looks good. Diana? Let's go to public comment then. If you'd like to provide comment on this item, go ahead and hit the raise hand feature. We'll start with Mike.
Thank you, Mayor and Council subcommittee members. Thank you.
With us, Mike?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, go for it.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been hearing about the Cool Block and Cool City Challenge, and I'm grateful that the subcommittee has started to become a little more agile in how we start to think about using some of these programs. One of the benefits I see is that it is meant to engage the public. And I don't think I've seen the public engaged since the Tubbs fire. Obviously, that was very important that the public became engaged. And I just hope we don't have to have another disaster to engage the public again. So this has the great potential in that regard. I've encouraged this, the subcommittee to move this on to the city council as quickly as we can once we can understand it. It's a bit disheartening that Petaluma seems to be upstaging Santa Rosa with their eliminating new gas station applications. It's good to see this is in the Planning Commission's hands tomorrow. It just seems that Santa Rosa should be leading the way on a lot of different things. I understand it's a more slower moving ship, let's say, but it just seems like we're starting to feel like the subcommittee in particular is a little more agile than it was when it first began. So I'm encouraged to see that. And I would just hope this moves forward as quickly as we can get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Let's see if there's any other hands. Alexa?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Mike's sentiments that I'm glad to see that you were getting a report on this, and it was interesting for me to hear that report too, because I've heard of it sort of informally. And I just want to put in my 2 cents that it would be really appreciated by lots of people that I know if the city council were to take up something like this, or something similar, if not this. I think there are so many of us who really want to help on the climate change front and don't know exactly what we can do other than just like trying to take care of our own house and our own personal choices, but how we can amplify those efforts and how we can organize them into really helping the city move. And in the absence of direction from the city council or some sort of unifying project that we can all put our volunteer energy into, we're sort of stabbing at the dark, in the dark. So something like this, I think, could be incredibly valuable. Again, whether it's this program or some other program where city leaders create a vision and then ask the citizens to join them in that vision, rather than the other way around, having the citizens trying to push the city council. Like, it's just a better dynamic, I think. So I just wanted to say thank you for considering it. And one other question I have, and I don't know, Peter, if you uncovered any of the details about this, but one of the barriers to equitable participation in these kinds of programs is people who just can't afford that many volunteer hours. So I was wondering how much of that grant money might be used in a way like the PCAC work that was done by Daily Acts down in Petaluma to actually pay folks to show up and do part of the work, organizing their blocks and stuff, so that we could maybe get a more diverse group participating. Thanks so much.
That's the last hand that I see, so I'll go ahead and bring it back. So Peter, what type of feedback would be helpful from committee members?
I think, you obviously recognize that you have this opportunity with the update to the community-wide climate action plan coming up. We do see that, and I just don't think we know kind of where that direction is going, but this council has an opportunity to do that. In terms of, I neglected to say, the Cool Block program itself, all the resources are available online, and any person can become a Cool Block leader, irrespective of whether or not they reside in one of these folks as part of this Cool Cities Challenge. There's many Cool Block champions throughout the state and maybe even the nation that are already participating in this program, utilizing the resources that are available online for free on coolblock.org. So, that also could be pushed out to folks throughout Santa Rosa too as well.
Perfect. Natalie, Diana, anything to add? All right, well, I'm really supportive. I think that this is a great idea. And I think that that was one of the things that we had talked about when we created this committee was providing a space for people to bring us good ideas, for us to collectively talk about what we're doing. I feel I get it from people that we kind of took big swings early on and are going a little bit of a different path than some of the other cities. For example, we're going to be at about 50% of our bus fleet is now slated to be electrified, and we did 100% renewable energy for all city buildings right off the bat. And so we've got to continue to build on that and bring the public in and hear from the public where they would like to head with this next. So I'm going to be really supportive of our efforts around this.
Speaking from myself, just it should be recognized that Santa Rosa is a leader in terms of water conservation during this drought, which is an incredible part of that strategy. Many other, if you want to show that we are a leader in the region, we do rally other municipalities and contractors throughout the region, and they adapt a lot of our strategies too as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and move on to item 5.1. That's our future agenda items.
Hi, my name is Tasha Wright, and I'm from Santa Rosa Water, and here to give you your future agenda items update. And I just want to remind, I think it was mentioned briefly that the Planning Commission was going to hear, it's the public hearing on the zoning code text amendments to prohibit new gas stations and prohibit expansion of, this is a long title, fossil fuel infrastructure for existing gas stations. And so that Planning Commission meeting starts tomorrow at 4:30 if anyone wants to tune in and hear the update on that. So that's was requested by the public that staff looks into that. And of course, Mayor Rogers did go ahead and ask that staff looked into that, and sometime later, here it goes to the Planning Commission. So that's pretty exciting. So August 10th, we have Peter from Santa Rosa Water, who was just on. He will be bringing forward an update on the drought response. And also we have transportation and public works staff who are going to be coming and giving an update on the city EV buses and transit electrification and infrastructure. So everybody tune in for that one. That's going to be really exciting. And then September 14th, we are tentatively looking at the climate action, the community climate action plan and the municipal action plan update as part of the general plan, and working with our consultant as far as incorporating that into the general plan. So we'll get an update on that. And then we also have some other things on the schedule tentatively in the fall. We'll also be talking about the short range transit plan and other service related items. And then there are quite a few other pending on the schedule that are there and available on our sheet. So that's it from me. Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and go to public comment and ask folks what future agenda items you'd like to see. So far, I'm not seeing any hands. So I'll go ahead and bring it back. Council members, other than what's already slated to come before the committee, is there anything in particular that you'd like us to focus on? I'm seeing no's. All right, Tasha, we'll keep working through our list. I know our next meeting is going to be a good one. And yes, I alluded to it a little bit. Our transit work is particularly exciting with some good news that we just received last week. So we'll go ahead and whet people's appetite with that one, and we'll come back next month with a full update. And with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.